Howdy y'all, it is Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. How you doing? I thought today would be a fun day to talk about some of these decks that actually have been in ways maybe possibly previewed on the channel before. I think, for one, this one has shown up before, but why I kept certain ones, because some of my Keyforge decks, and if you haven't ever played Keyforge and you love trading card games, I highly recommend it. It is a fun thing because you get to customize in a way, but not really, because you don't necessarily customize the deck, although there is a tournament format that allows you to do that now, but you customize by choosing different decks and play styles, and also different ratings. So it can beat 16% of other decks basically, and this can beat 40% of other decks. It's a 40% success rate versus 16%. So if a 40% goes up against a 60%, the odds are not high that it will do well. But that being said, it's kind of a neat thing. And I kept decks that are lower rated for a reason, often because there was something very special about these. And I'm curious, because I just put these in for the ratings. Aha. Okay, Brobnar's not one of my favorite houses, but Sanctum and Mars are. And this is one of the older decks that I've owned. So let's take a little peek through. Why would I keep such a thing? This is Specialist Sushi Shumples. Okay. So let's get into Specialist Sushi Shumples. This is a Generation 2 deck. And I just want you to see kind of what it does, and we'll sort them as we go. And yeah, we're going to have some fun. So the first card is The Harder They Come from Sanctum. Play, purge a creature with power 5 or higher. Yeah, this is a 16% deck. It's very poor. It's not going to do well, but I love this deck. It's just a funny deck because it's got my 3 houses that I love. And often I will keep decks around just because they have something special to them or something interesting. Standardized testing for Logos. Play, destroy each creature with the lowest power and each creature with the highest power. Definitely a good control card when you need it. Borden the Redeemed. All right, so let's shift all this up a little bit. Borden the Redeemed. He's a 3-power elusive Sanctum creature with action capture 2, so he can get stuff away from your opponent for a little bit. Poke, terrible card. 1 amber, play, deal 1 damage to an enemy creature. If this damage destroys that creature, draw a card. It's just there. It's a terrible card. Definitely does not help the ratings. Remote access, an amber pip, play, use an opponent's artifact as if it were yours. Very useful to make them skip a turn of use on an artifact and also get you something useful. Duma the Martyr, she's a rare, 3 power, no armor though. Destroyed, fully heal each other friendly creature and draw 2 cards. Most people just play around with this and make sure that she doesn't get her benefit. And other than the draw 2 cards, I really like her though. It's kind of cool though. Squire Duma at the battle for the Gate of Hope, and this is now Duma the Martyr. It's like it was that when she first came on the battlefield. I don't know. Quantum Finger Trap artifact. Action, swap the positions of 2 creatures in a battle line. In this deck, it's very useless. Not good card. Mars, Incubation Chamber. Omni, reveal a Mars creature from your hand if you do archive it. This is part of the reason I kept this deck in a way, other than the fact that it's those 3 houses. It's so much fun to just keep throwing your Mars creatures into your archive and having this epic turn where you play like 8, 9, 10 cards of Mars. Really cool. And if you get this really early on and it's a rare, it's a great card. Really fun. Mars first, ready and use a friendly Mars creature with an amber pip. Very useful card because it gets you access to a Mars creature immediately. Matthias the Fierce, 4 armor, 2 power, Sanctum, taunt, and hazardous force. When he gets attacked, he does 4 damage before the attack even happens. Fantastic card. Very good protection. Borden the Redeemed we have seen. They're an okay card. 3 power with elusive is always good-ish, but it's really the capture 2 that's really nice. 1 stood against many, another rare. Play, ready and fight with a friendly creature 3 times, each time against a different enemy creature. Resolve these fights 1 at a time. It's a rare. It's very interesting because especially with some of the Sanctum creatures, that can get some pretty cool stuff going on. Now, that being said, you're probably going to lose that creature, though, but if you can lay down the creature and then immediately fight, pretty neat. Fun. Sigil of Brotherhood artifact. It's an Omni, so you can use it on any turn. Sacrifice it. For the remainder of the turn, you may use friendly Sanctum creatures, so you can use them outside of their house. Very cool. Seismo Entangler artifact. Action. Choose a house. During your opponent's next turn, creatures of the chosen house cannot be used to reap. This is actually a pretty useful thing, because it just slows them down, but then that means they can still fight and do actions, so there is some limitations there. Mars creature, Tixel Beambuckler. He's 4 power, 1 armor. Play, deal 2 damage to a creature and move it to either flank of its controller's battle line. It's the 2 damage that's really useful in this deck, but the other part could be useful. Zizix Zizizix Shockworm, 3 power, 1 armor. After an enemy creature reaps, stun it. Just nice. Helpful. Uxlix the Zookeeper. Anytime I see this card, I get excited because he is amazing. He's 2 power. He's not very strong, but he's elusive. And then when he reaps, put an enemy creature into your archives. If that creature leaves your archives, it is put into its owner's hand instead. What this does is lets you abduct your opponent's creatures. But if you're already putting a lot of Mars creatures in your discard pile or your archives, be very careful with this card. Very dangerous to do that as well. So, kind of an interesting thing just to mess around with, and especially if you get the Mars first thing, you can ready him up and immediately use him, which is really, really crazy. Ixalixi Fixfinger. He's 2 power, 2 armor, and he's elusive, and each other Martian creature gets +1 armor. He just makes your Martians a little bit more survivable. They don't do any more damage, but they have more armor. Pip Pip. After an enemy creature reaps, stun it. 2 power, Logos card. There's a lot of control of reaping in this deck, and it's really funny because it's so low rated. It just doesn't do a whole lot, but it's really fun. Lab work, play, archive a card. What you want to do typically is archive a Mars card to go with the Mars creatures that you're archiving as well. Really neat though. Lab work is a great card, but sloppy lab work's even better. Binate Rupture, one of my cards that I can't stand because it never works, it seems like, and I've only ever gotten it to work like once or twice. You have to play it first thing, and each player gains amber equal to the amber in their pool, and it's for you and your opponent, and that hurts because it can really go badly. Abom the Armorsmith. He has 3 power, Sanctum creature. Other friendly creatures get +1 armor. Plus, I love that he reminds me of Dark Souls 1. Oh my goodness, I can't remember his name now. He's the armor and weaponsmith that you meet, and then he's in Dark Souls 3 as well. Just fantastic. He just reminds me of him. So other friendly creatures get +1 armor, so he doesn't give it to himself, but other people. And then action for the remainder of the turn, other friendly creatures get +1 armor as well. So you can give out +2 armor for a turn to really make them hard to take down whenever you're trying to fight with like that one stood against many card. Very cool. Mother Gun. It's an artifact that's an action to reveal any number of Mars cards from your hand. Deal damage to a creature equal to the number of Mars cards revealed this way. This is just one of those, like, especially if you get one of those turns after you've already laid down the Mother Gun, you've been archiving your Mars creatures. All of a sudden you have a ton of cards and you're just going to hit something really big, really hard, and it's going to be gone and not have to deal with it otherwise. Glixel Proliferator, the Mars creature. He's 3 power and reap. If he's on a flank, archive a Mars card from your discard pile. You can get something back that you might need. Abom the Armorsmith again. So good. This is rare, and this is a great card. Again, one of these cards why I kept the deck. Play, choose a creature, destroy that creature, and each creature that shares a trait with it, gain 1 chain. So the traits in this, which should be really, to me, keywords, it's that human, okay? And really, really powerful thing. So you can select human, and all the humans on the board are destroyed. Really cool, really interesting, because you can control it and be very intentional on how you play it. Golden Aura, play, choose a creature, fully heal the chosen creature for the remainder of the turn. The chosen creature is considered to be House Sanctum and cannot be dealt damage. This is a common, but is super good because it lets you use a creature outside of House. Very cool. Barrister Joya, 5 power, 1 armor. Enemy creatures just can't reap, period. They cannot reap while she's out. Amazing. Exterminate, play. For each friendly Mars creature you control, destroy a non-Mars creature with a lower power. This does affect you sometimes, so you have to be very careful with this card. And unfortunately in this deck, it doesn't have a whole lot of large Mars creatures. I think the highest might be just a 4 power, which is kind of sad because the armor doesn't make you any stronger. Hexbion is 4 logos, 2 power, and when destroyed, archive Hexbion in the top card of your deck. This is really cool because you can get a Hexbion. Unfortunately, it might be full of Mars stuff and things you've abducted, so not necessarily the greatest, but it is kind of cool. Brain Eater, 6 power, which is awesome. That's massive. After a creature is destroyed fighting Brain Eater, draw a card. If you can keep them alive for a while, draw cards are amazing. 3 Abom the Armorsmiths in this deck. Insane. Lots of armor, and it's just fun. I love doing that and surprising people when they're like, wait, what? Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, no, my Sanctum guys have 4 armor because of all the armor that's being given from Aboms and also their own armor. It's crazy. Cutthroat Research. Hate this card. It's got an Amber Pip. When you play it, steal 2 if your opponent has 8 or more Amber. It's very possible to have that happen, but it just seems like it doesn't work very well, and it's weird. This, on the other hand, is something special. It's a Rocket Boots upgrade. This creature gains fights or reaps. If this is the first time this creature is used this turn, ready it. So Uxlix the Zookeeper, you could put this on there and make him go twice and abduct twice in a turn. You could control an entire battle by just getting rid of all of their creatures. Another Zizix Shockworm, so they're also stunned if they reap. And then Carpet Flotsam play. If there are no friendly creatures in play, deal 4 damage to each creature. This is if you are just getting completely skunked. You can play this to get rid of your enemy's battle line when you don't have anything. So this deck, it is more of a control deck than anything. It doesn't generate very well. It has lots of survivability. And I love it for this. So when I last scanned it in, you can look at it again. It's Specialist Sushi Shumples. Very cool name. Fun little Archon, and it's Mars Logos Sanctum. But really what you've got here is the Mars with some abduction and some fascinating just constant archiving. You've got some Logos with a little bit of archiving and just kind of helping other things. And the Sanctum over here going, we're going to capture stuff and we're going to have tons of armor. Because Bored and the Redeemed, that elusive guy that can capture 2, is by himself isn't that good, but all of a sudden when you've got lots of armor on him, a 3/3 could be very scary to try to deal with a lot of different houses. You know, some of the bigger ones, yeah, they just hit it anyway. But just a crazy, crazy thing to work with. So now that we've talked about that first deck, we want to go to something that's up to 40%. Definitely not going to be able to take on anything over 60% at all. It's just going to not. It's going to be bad. And normally I don't like Brobnar, but it's one of those decks that there was a reason I kept it. And we'll find out as we go through, and usually they're not in order anymore because they've been played. And so it's kind of fun to go back through and see what we've got here. First starts our Sanctum Whispering Reliquary Artifact. It's an action to return an artifact to its owner's hand. You can get rid of it for a turn, and also it won't be able to activate for a while. Because once you put down an artifact, it's exhausted. Not a great thing to use against other things. You know, like, not... It just makes really good stuff when they have to take an action to react, so they're going to be exhausted and they're going to come back. Like, say, this, Gauntlet of Command, they wouldn't be able to use it again. So it's an artifact to action, ready and fight with a friendly creature. Brobnar loves this kind of artifact, but this also could work on Sanctum creatures, too, who have armor. We also have the Autocannon artifact with an Amber Pip, and deal 1 damage to each creature after it enters play, and that does hit yours as well. And it's a rare. It's one of those, not my favorite card, but kind of interesting. The War Chest artifact. This is another Brobnar artifact. It's an action, gain 1 amber for each enemy creature that was destroyed in a fight this turn. That's important. So they have to be fought by one of your creatures, and then you gain amber. So it's a way to gain amber, but you have to do the fights. Another Gauntlet of Command. This is why this Brobnar, even though it's only at 40%, really interesting. And we saw in the other deck, the Mother Gun artifact. Very, very cool. And a Gengar Chieftain 5 power play. You may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. So you've got the Gauntlets of Command that do this, and Gengar Chieftain can do it with other creatures as well. So you could Gauntlet of Command the Gengar Chieftain to fight as well after he's made somebody else fight. It's really cool. And Valdir, 6 power, she deals 2+ damage while attacking an enemy creature on the flank. And that's where those flanks could matter. Very interesting. A Troll, 8 power, Reap. Troll heals 3 damage. 3. So if he's going to reap and go to the mines instead of fighting, you can heal him. Really cool, but he's 8 power. Zorg, though. Ooh, Zorg, 7 power. He's a little less than Troll, but he's actually much better. But he enters play stunned, and there's a reason why, because before fight, stun the creature Zorg fights in each of that creature's neighbors. So you want to fight something small so he doesn't take much damage and stuns the other things that are nearby. Very cool. Yixilix Dominator, 9 power, 1 armor. Amazing. He's a taunt, so you can't attack his neighbors until you get rid of him. And then he enters play stunned, though. But it doesn't matter because he's taunting. He's just taking the damage. The Mother Gun artifact again. And this is where it gets kind of fun. If you have 2 Mother Guns, you can activate the first one and go, well, 4 damage. And then you activate the second one, 4 damage again. If you have 4 cards in your hand. So good. So good. Zizix the Mini, 3 power. But when he fights or reaps, you may reveal a creature from your hand. If you do, archive it. Any creature. And Zizix the Mini gets 3 +1 power counters. Bonkers. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Lady Maxina, our Sanctum creature, 5 power, 2 armor, play, stun a creature. She just stuns when she enters play, but action, you can return it to your hand so that you can play her again and stun. She can't attack that same turn, but she can stun, which is really cool. Bulwark, crazy card. 4 power, 2 armor. This is a Gen 1 deck of awesomeness. Each of Bulwark's neighbors gets +2 armor. Imagine a troll with 2 armor on top of it, right? That's disgusting. Protect the Weak. This creature gets +1 armor and gains taunt, so it protects its neighbors. Amazing, crazy card to help when you need it. Champion Anafeel. 6 power, 1 armor, taunt. Crazy good, especially with a Bulwark next to him. Tireless Crowcag. He's a rare, very fun, very interesting. He can't reap. He has 7 power. You can use him as if he belonged to the active house, so he can be in Mars or Sanctum and still be used. But if your opponent has no creatures in play, destroy him. So he's really, really useful just to get out there and people go, oh, crud, here he is. Punch has an Amber Pip. Play, deal 3 damage to a creature. This is just a great thing to answer. It doesn't work with the War Chest, but it is a really good card. Blinding Light with an Amber Pip. Play, choose a house, stun each creature of that house. Control out the wazoo. There's nothing more fun than you have Sanctum creatures in your hand and they're playing Sanctum too, and you stun all their Sanctum creatures and then play yours out. So theirs have to take a turn doing nothing while yours will be ready to go next turn if you need them. Really neat. Take Hostages, Amber Pip. Play for the remainder of the turn. Each time a friendly creature fights, it captures 1. Really cool. So this time you don't gain 1 for the fight, but you can capture to control their Amber. Very cool. This is a rare, Total Recall, not a good card, but I like just the concept of it. Play, you get an Amber Pip. For each friendly ready creature, gain 1 Amber. Return each friendly creature to your hand. They have to be ready, though. And if they're not, they don't do anything. But you get tons of Amber to force this is that last turn check to try. And this is actually why I kept this deck, because it's a Maverick. That's what the symbol means. And it's outside of the house it should normally be in. This should be part of the Dis. And you can see that from the traits there. He's a 3 power, but when he reaps, your opponent discards a random card from their hand. Just a fun card. Really cool, and it looks really neat as a Mars creature. There's Uxlix the Zookeeper as well. Almost always keep him if I've got Uxlix in there somewhere. Bumpsy, he's a 5 power, and when you play him, your opponent loses 1 Amber. Just immediately. That's it. Yixley Marauder, 2 power. He gets +1 power for each Amber on him, but when you play, capture 1 Amber for each friendly ready Mars creature. If they're stunned, but they're ready, that still counts. But he can capture a lot and get powered up. Kind of cool. Orbital Bombardment. Amber Pip. Play. Reveal any number of Mars cards from your hand. For each card revealed this way, deal 2 damage to a creature. And you can choose a different creature each time. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Really cool. Really good. It's like a Mother Gun, but 1 shot. But you can change things around and move them around, and it's a little bit stronger. It's cool. It's a really good card when you need it to be. Shoulder Armor. While this creature's on a flank, it gets +2 armor and +2 power. And reality is, this goes on anything. And you could put it on your opponent if you wanted to, but that would be a bad idea. But man, +2 armor, +2 power is massive, and plus it looks like a Warhammer 40k kind of creature. Kind of cool. Inspiration, play, ready, and use a friendly creature. That could be a Brobnar creature if you needed it. That could be a Mars creature if you needed it. That's really cool. Very, very helpful. Radiant Truth, stun each enemy creature not on a flank. So if they've got a huge battle line, boom, throw that down, and you stun the whole thing, except for the 2 flank creatures on the ends. Raiding Knight, 4 power, 2 armor, play, capture 1. Perfect when you just need to get some Amber off of them. Coward's End, play it, destroy each undamaged creature, gain 3 chains. The chains hurt, but if you need to, and they've got a huge battle line that hasn't been hurt yet, this is the card. Really cool. Tunk, 6 power, 1 armor. After you play another Mars creature, fully healed Tunk. This is amazing because you attack it, you take 5 damage after the armor, and then you play down another Mars creature and it's back to full health. Fantastic card. Champion Anafeel we've seen. Amazing to protect other creatures. Mind Warper. Whoo, devastating card. 2 power, he's elusive. Action, choose an enemy creature. It captures 1 from its own side, so then you can get it after you defeat that creature. He's a bonkers card. So you play him, and next turn you use his action to capture, and then like Orbital Bombardment or Mother Gun, and then destroy them. Really cool. And our last card in this deck was titled Radia Z, let's see here, Exoclast the 5th. Is a Fire Spitter, 5 power, 1 armor. Before fight, deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. Amazing stuff. Because before fight, you get to deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. What if the creature you're fighting only has 1 health, so you actually don't take any, or really has 2, so then you might take a damage because your armor will absorb 1, and then you get rid of it. obviously you'd still take that damage, but it's just kind of that interesting thing that you try to hit something small to deal damage to other things. Very interesting card. Doesn't work with the Coward's End very well, but it can literally let you control things like a Shadows play or something that has a lot of smaller creatures. So yeah, these two decks are some of my lowest rated, and especially the 16%er. And there's something special about them, that they're fun to play, and it's interesting to play games with the lower tier decks that when they compete against each other, you're seeing what they're supposed to do, and they don't do very well against the bigger decks. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of these Keyforge decks? And I'll see you in the next video. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Bye, y'all.